Hi everybody, it's Steve Halley here with the Family Peace Initiative's Facilitators Tool Chest blog. This is our June edition, and this blog is really just designed to discuss ideas and try, with the goal of helping all of us get better at our craft of intervening with those who are using cruelty in relationships with their partner, their kids. Today I want to talk with you about 3 common facilitator mistakes that we see. I've had the privilege of being in this field for approaching 30 years now, and I've had the privilege of training hundreds of facilitators. I've had the honor of sitting in rooms and watching so many creative, talented facilitators working their craft, trying to help participants examine themselves and understand their behavior, understand the impact of their behavior on others. I've seen some amazing creativity over the years and watched some facilitators create conversations and discussions that were just fascinating, and just a privilege to get to be in the room when it was happening. But all of us have a potential to kind of take a wrong turn when we're working with those who batter. And there's some common places where this wrong turn, I call them mistakes, but at best they're just not helpful. And at worst, they can really accidentally collude. The first one I think about is, as facilitators themselves become dysregulated in the emotional, intensive work that we do, we can do all kinds of behaviors because we're managing and trying to soothe ourselves and our own emotional reactivity. We can start lecturing, we can start advising and telling people what they're supposed to do. We can, give them a silver lining. Well, at least it's not so bad. Oh, it could be much worse. At least you get to see your kids every other weekend and on Wednesday nights. We can start giving those responses that are more about facilitators soothing themselves than it is about promoting introspection among those who participate. And so it's important, in order to avoid that blunder, that mistake, that misstep, for facilitators to develop a skill of being very self-aware, understanding my own regulation, understanding my emotional responses and what's happening to me, and what am I at risk of doing that might be soothing to myself, but not necessarily helpful to the person or to the group that I'm working with. And so these kind of, Alice Miller talks about that. She says that helpers are only able to be as helpful to others as far as they're able to go within themselves. And so our work on ourselves, pushing our own envelope of how far into our internal focused experience can we go, is super valuable in working with others. And of course, if we're not able to go far within ourselves, it's impossible for us to sit with others while they're trying to go to a deep spot themselves. And we'll do something to sabotage that, like giving advice or silver lining or lecturing, And so usually when I move into those spaces, that I have to recognize that that's probably more about me than it is about me trying to help those that are in my room. So the second common misstep that facilitators kind of make is that they think that there's a way to logically explain to people why they should stop battering, that if they just say the right words, that the person will have an epiphany and go, oh my gosh, I wish someone would have told me that years ago. Now I'll stop being cruel to my partner. And the reality is it doesn't work that way. Most of the time, change is a process. And it's not that I have the right words, it's can I facilitate the right process or the right group dynamic or the right conversation so that people can develop insights into their own experience, their own story. Why do they do the things that they do, right? And so the more I try to talk people into ending cruelty, the more I'm probably missing the boat, because change is created by introspection and an internal focused dialogue. Right? As a facilitator, I have to have the right curiosity about where did that come from, what's your story, and how does your history contribute to your present day experience. And so the second one is simply thinking that we can talk people out of their violence. The third mistake that facilitators often make is that they move away from an internal focused conversation, away from an effort to intervene with domestic violence, to a prevention conversation about domestic violence. And when we talk about that, both intervening in domestic violence and prevention in domestic violence are critical, important areas. But prevention is rarely a great intervention. Right? It might be useful in the process of intervening. If I'm having a heart attack, it might be useful for someone to tell me a little bit about diet and exercise and how that can help me prevent another heart attack. But at the moment when I'm having a heart attack, the last thing that somebody with a heart attack is interested in is diet and exercise. They're interested in their heart calming down, their heart stopping the attack. And that's the difference between preventing a heart attack and intervening when a heart attack is going on, once it's happened. Right? In domestic violence, there's prevention. It's how do we prevent more domestic violence from occurring? How do we engage men, and how do we educate our community, and how do we create policies that create a prevention from stopping this horrible cruelty from occurring? But the intervention strategies are really the conversations about stopping it once it has started. And intervention strategies are different than prevention strategies. Intervention is done by an internal focused dialogue, creating a space where people can look at themselves, become accountable for their own behavior, and understand the cruelty that they experienced long before they were ever cruel to anybody, and how that historical cruelty is driving our behaviors as present day. So those are just three areas that I see facilitators kind of migrate into mistakes or misdirection or, at best, unhelpful approaches to facilitation. I'm sure there's plenty more. Hope you guys have a great summer. I'll probably put another of these out in July, and until then, just take good care of yourself, and thank you so much for the work that you do. Bye-bye.